In a stunning new revelation, Israel's top defense officials hint at an ambitious, controversial plan for Gaza, a potential annexation. Reports from Haaretz describe a covert general's plan already targeting northern Gaza for clearance, laying the groundwork for something massive. Palestinians say it's an attempt to erase their presence from Gaza entirely. Dark clouds loom over Gaza's shattered landscape, where 70% of buildings lie in ruins. Leaders have vanished, and neighboring Arab nations stay silent. Yet in Gaza, silence does not mean surrender. Under 42 million tons of rubble, resistance simmers. Fighters hide in tunnels. Bombs lie undetonated, waiting. Every move Israel makes now rides the knife's edge between security and devastation. But Prime Minister Netanyahu doesn't look away. He sees Gaza as an opportunity for a seismic shift, a chance to secure Israel's future, annex Gaza, eliminate Hamas, and build a terror-free Israel. But the plan divides Israel itself. Experts like Michael Milstein warn, even if Israel occupies Gaza, Hamas won't stop fighting. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and IDF Chief Herzi Halevi echo that caution, seeing the potential for backlash and heavy loss of life. Now, Israel faces a historic choice: charge ahead with annexation or turn to Plan B, a quieter, high-stakes plan with a $100 billion price tag to rebuild Gaza from the ground up, neutralizing Hamas's influence entirely. The world may see Israel's military maneuvers, but what if the real plan is already unfolding? An unprecedented reconstruction of Gaza. What will this new Gaza look like? Could it ever be Hamas-free? Or are we seeing the start of a new chapter in a story that never seems to end? Let's dive in and find out. Israel's plan for a new Gaza is as bold as it is controversial. Picture Gaza divided like a fortress, sealed zones where every move is watched and every route tightly controlled. The strategy envisions Gaza sectioned into high security zones, each monitored to prevent Hamas from gaining a foothold. This vision isn't just a concept, it's a detailed blueprint designed to ensure control over every corner. A maze of corridors, Gaza's blueprint for control. This new Gaza centers on a maze of corridors, each carefully placed to split Gaza into isolated sections. Each area only opens through Israeli-controlled checkpoints. The Philadelphia corridor, for instance, stretches 14 kilometers along the Gaza-Egypt border. This zone includes the Rafah crossing, Gaza's main transit point to Egypt, where Israel oversees every movement across borders. With these new barriers, Israel constructs a buffer around urban centers, sealing off areas that Hamas could exploit, dividing Gaza, containing Hamas. Other corridors, like the Netzrim corridor, push isolation even further, splitting Gaza City from the rest of the region. This 6-kilometer strip, extending from Israel's border to the Mediterranean, carves Gaza into smaller, tightly controlled sections. By dividing Gaza in this way, Israel ensures full control over who enters and exits each zone, cutting off Hamas's ability to regroup, move weapons, or organize attacks. These barriers work like gates, keeping Hamas boxed into limited spaces, blocking access to people, resources, and freedom of movement. Eyes everywhere, watchtowers and bases. Israel's vision for a new Gaza doesn't stop at checkpoints and barriers. Israel plans to dot each corridor with outposts and watchtowers, creating constant eyes on every inch of Gaza. Take the Kisufim corridor, a critical route connecting Israeli forces directly to Gaza's Khan Yunis region. With these watchtowers, Israeli forces gain a rapid response advantage, moving at a moment's notice to tackle any threat. Layers of security, keeping Gaza on lockdown. To secure Gaza long-term, Israel layers its security with advanced surveillance, quick response strategies, and continuous military oversight. Advanced surveillance. Israel turns Gaza into a fully monitored zone, installing high-tech cameras, drones, and radar systems that track real-time movement. When something unusual happens, Israeli forces respond instantly, shutting down any potential attack before it gains traction. controlled movement. Checkpoints guard each corridor, restricting Hamas's ability to transport weapons or fighters. These barriers don't just limit movement, they make it nearly impossible for Hamas to organize larger operations. Rapid deployment. The corridor system allows Israeli forces to move quickly into Gaza, reaching conflict zones within minutes. By mobilizing in seconds, Israel stays ahead of any threats, preventing escalation before it can even begin. Targeting Hamas's supply chains. This strategy also aims to cut off Hamas's lifelines. Corridors like the Philadelphia corridor slice through well-known smuggling routes, stopping Hamas's weapon supplies at the source. By shutting down these supply lines, Israel weakens Hamas's ability to build up resources or stage attacks, cutting their operational legs out from under them. But Israel's approach doesn't end at smuggling routes. Corridors carve out Gaza's known Hamas hotspots, including areas like Rafah, Khan Yunis, and Beit Hanun. With diagonal and crosswise barriers, Israel boxes in neighborhoods known for high Hamas activity, keeping their influence from seeping into other regions of Gaza. In Israel's eyes, this new Gaza could separate Hamas from essential resources, restrict their movement, and shut down their operational zones. By building this tightly controlled environment, Israel sees a path to maintaining security without a full occupation. But for people of Gaza, this future might feel less like a homecoming and more like a prison. And here's the hard truth. Even if people of Gaza return, there may be nowhere for them to go. In Gaza, the devastation is staggering. Towering apartment blocks are flattened, roads and schools lie in ruins. Over 70% of Gaza's infrastructure has been reduced to rubble, displacing 90% of its people. Homes, hospitals, schools, all gone, leaving families under an open sky. The United Nations estimates the physical damage since October 2023 at $18.5 billion, a blow 7 times Gaza's GDP. The monumental task of rebuilding Gaza. Rebuilding Gaza will take a Herculean effort. Over 40 million tons of rubble clog Gaza's streets, much of it filled with toxic materials, asbestos, and human remains. Experts say clearing the debris alone could take up to 15 years and cost more than $600 million. This debris isn't just rubble, it's a haunting reminder of lives lost and futures stolen. And even clearing it doesn't end the challenge. The ground beneath Gaza hides an underground minefield of unexploded bombs, turning every clearing crew's step into a deadly risk. Beneath it all lies a network of unstable tunnels, making any construction a risky venture from the start. Clean water, power, and survival. Wastewater plants sit in ruins, sewage leaks into the soil, beaches, and water table. Clean water in Gaza has become a luxury, with disease spreading quietly through communities. And then there's the darkness. Power stations have collapsed, leaving Gaza with little to no electricity. Hospitals, schools, and homes struggle to function. Rebuilding without power? Almost impossible. Political hurdles and endless delays. Construction materials like concrete and steel rarely make it through Gaza's borders. Israel's control over imports means endless delays, with every supply run turning into a game of patience and policy. Gaza's reconstruction needs more than resources. It needs the political will to allow those resources in. The United Nations projects that rebuilding Gaza could take decades and cost upwards of $50 billion or more. Without stable support and solutions to political blockades, even that timeline feels optimistic. For Israel, Gaza's reconstruction isn't just a humanitarian necessity, it's a security imperative. A stable Palestine means a safer Israel. Permanent occupation or annexation would only worsen Israel's international standing and fuel further instability in the Middle East. Israel now faces a stark decision: continue down the path of fortress building, or embrace one of the most complex reconstruction efforts the world has ever seen. Could Israel turn Gaza into a stable, rebuilt region for all? Or will this plan simply fuel further conflict? Picture a Gaza where families finally return, only to face streets choked with rubble and homes nowhere to be found. Where new schools rise but children remain too traumatized to enter. Gaza's recovery demands far more than bricks and mortar. It requires international courage, political commitment, and the drive to cut through obstacles that seem endless. Will Israel take on this challenge? Could it pull off one of the largest and most complicated reconstruction projects in history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video got you thinking, don't forget to subscribe for more stories on the world's biggest projects. Thanks for watching.